Live. This is News 8 at 11.
The suicide attempt that shocked the state. Doctors trying to keep the man who's charged with murdering his wife alive.
Fotis Dulos airlifted to Jacoby Medical Center here in the Bronx. The latest coming up.
The estranged husband of Jennifer Dulos, mother of 5, did not show up for his court date today. Police found him in a car in the garage of his Farmington home with the motor running.
Fotis Dulos found unconscious in his car after an attempted suicide. I'm Mackenzie Maynard, coming up where police are with their investigation tonight.
The battle surrounding his freedom. Could the insurance company backing the accused killer have his bond revoked?
And a growing show of support for Jennifer Farber Dulos outside her estranged husband's Jefferson Crossing community.
Fotis Dulos still in the hospital in New York tonight after a suicide attempt earlier today.
Doctors at Jacoby Medical Center in the Bronx have Dulos in a hyperbaric chamber. Dulos was flown there today, arriving this afternoon from UConn Health Center in Farmington to be treated for CO poisoning.
Dulos was at his home on Jefferson Crossing in Farmington. Big police presence unfolding there after he didn't show up for a bond hearing today. News 8 has team coverage tonight. Shayna Ferrer live in the Bronx for us, but we're going to start with News 8's Mackenzie Maynard live outside the Dulos home in Farmington with the latest on the investigation there. Mackenzie.
Yeah, Darren and Ann, good evening. A much quieter scene here tonight. You can see most of the police presence that has been here for much of the day today has left. Now, they are telling me that they're in a holding pattern waiting for search warrants. They're hoping to get the search warrants so they can start processing the scene where Fotis Dulos was found after that attempted suicide earlier today. Fotis Dulos rushed from his Jefferson Crossing home in Farmington Wednesday afternoon after police officers found him unconscious in his car during a wellness check when he didn't show up to court.
They could see through a window that Mr. Dulos was sitting in his vehicle and he had obvious signs of medical distress. Officers forced entry and immediately began to perform life-saving measures.
Multiple agencies responded to help with life-saving measures, finally getting a pulse.
Typically, CPR will be performed for a period of time. If there is any type of life present, the patient would be transported to the hospital, and that's what happened.
Dulos was transported from his Jefferson Crossing home to UConn Health and listed in critical condition with carbon monoxide poisoning.
Way too early for us to confirm any of that right now.
Dulos then airlifted to a hospital in the Bronx. Police and investigators early on in the process not able to say if Fotis Dulos left a suicide note.
Right now, these guys are here trying to button up the scene.
Police had the home surrounded for hours Wednesday, leaving some wondering if a wellness check was also being done on Michelle TROCONIS. She's also out on bond, facing conspiracy to murder charges.
There's still a gag order in place.
And not just TROCONIS, but Kent MAWHINNEY as well. He's still behind bars, facing conspiracy to murder charges.
Obviously, they're both impacted.
While Dulos continues to receive medical care, police say they're staying in close contact with the members of the Farber family who have temporary guardianship of the children.
Detectives are going to work closely with the family as much as possible.
Yeah, Ben, earlier today,
police telling us they're waiting for those search warrants so they can get inside, start evaluating and processing that evidence. We're live in Farmington tonight. Mackenzie Maynard, News 8.
Mackenzie, thank you. Our team coverage continues now outside that hospital in the Bronx where Fotis Dulos remains in critical condition tonight.
News 8 Shayna Ferrer is live at Jacoby Medical Center with that. Shayna.
Yeah, that's right. Fotis Dulos has been in this Bronx, New York hospital behind me since about 4 p.m. this afternoon, a large media presence, and we're all waiting really to find out the latest in terms of an update for his condition. But we spoke with an expert who says even if Fotis Dulos was to survive this whole debacle, he may never be the same. Fotis Dulos was choppered into the Jacoby Medical Center in the Bronx to be put into one of these, a hyperbaric chamber.
It basically forces oxygen into the tissues.
Dr. C. Stephen Wolf is the chair of the emergency medicine department at St. Francis Hospital. He says hyperbaric treatment is only used for the most severe carbon monoxide patients.
Someone who has either had a cardiac arrest, high levels of carbon monoxide, somebody who's pregnant there's a lower threshold to do hyperbarics.
The chamber fills with oxygen at 2 to 3 times the normal air pressure. It helps protect heart and brain tissue, which are the most vulnerable to damage from carbon monoxide poisoning. It's still unclear, though, how long Dulos was in that running car in his Farmington garage, and not clear how much damage has already been done.
It really depends on how much time your brain has been without oxygen, and so only time can tell. If the patient survives and vital signs return, it's really a waiting game to see what brain function comes back.
Now, we are told Norm Pattis, Fotis Dulos' attorney, was here in the Bronx visiting his client. It's also important to note, for those wondering, there is a hyperbaric chamber at the hospital in Bridgeport, but it's normally used to treat patients with wounds, which is why Fotis Dulos was airlifted here to New York City. We're live in the Bronx tonight. Shayna Ferreira, News 8.
All right, Shayna, thank you. Dulos was supposed to be in Stamford court today for an emergency bond hearing on those murder charges, but that never happened. That hearing now scheduled for tomorrow, and it will go on even if Dulos cannot make it to the courtroom. His $6 million bond reportedly may have been in jeopardy today because it was uncertain if the insurance company tied to paying the bond was going to agree to keep covering it. That company telling News 8 they were going to revoke Dulos' bond because 2 of his 6 properties they had insured as collateral were in foreclosure. That includes the Farmington home Dulos was found in the garage this morning.
A new development surrounding another man facing charges in the murder of Jennifer Dulos. The legal license of Kent MAWHINNEY was placed on interim suspension. MAWHINNEY, a former civil attorney for Fotis Dulos, is charged with conspiracy to commit murder. He remains behind bars on $2 million bond. The other co-defendant, former Dulos girlfriend Michelle TROCONIS, also charged with conspiracy to commit murder, remains free on $1.5 million bond.
The woman at the center of this all, Jennifer Farber Dulos, the missing New Canaan mother of 5, disappeared 9 months ago now, May 24th, after dropping her kids off at school in New Canaan. Her body has never been found. She is presumed dead. News 8 reached out to her family tonight. The family spokesperson said it would not be appropriate for them to comment at this time. And tonight, support still burning brightly for Jennifer in Farmington, a tribute to her standing outside that neighborhood. You may remember earlier this month, prosecutors say her estranged husband, Fotis Dulos, removed some things from that memorial dedicated to his missing wife.
Stay with News 8 and WTNH.com for the very latest on the missing mom investigation. You can also download the News 8 app for breaking news updates on this case.